What if you're doing all the things and your business still isn't growing? Maybe it's that you need to get back to the basics, the unsexy, the not fun, the, oh gosh, I have to make myself get ready to do this kinds of things. Let's talk about that. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Fitness Marketing Mastery, where I share easy, enjoyable, even fun ways to market and sell to the clients that you and you alone can help better than anyone else in a way that is anything but sleazy, salesy, or pushy. And I also help you with training for women who are in menopause, perimenopause to postmenopause, helping with the hormone balancing exercise prescription through the Flipping 50 Menopause Fitness Specialist. In this podcast, however, we are diving into all things fitness marketing. The sponsor of this show is the Marketing to Women copywriting course, and I'll put the link to that in the show if you're struggling to find the right words, whether it's to say live, to say in a video, to say on a podcast, or to write in your emails or social posts. This, I think, will give you tons of insight. All right. When your business isn't growing and you're doing all the things, that is such a pain point. It's such a source of frustration. And a lot of times we can go along and we can know things will work out. Maybe you're naturally optimistic, but all of us eventually can get hit with that. Is this even worth it? What am I doing? Will this ever work? And the answer to that question, no one knows for sure. But I can tell you, if you're doing the right things, it will. And for some of you listening, you may not be doing the right things for the moment that you're in. You may be doing the very right things for another step further down the road, or a place where you've already been and are no longer. So let's explore what I mean by those. The fitness marketing basics, first of all, though, are not the sexy social media influencer, egocentric increase in fans and followers and more likes on your recent post. Fitness marketing basics are simultaneously the easiest and easiest to resist steps to successful revenue building. This episode reviews the fastest way to grow your business. And then what I'm going to dive deeper into is why you might be resisting doing the things that are right here that have been proven to work over and over. That is the biggest value from this episode. So don't just listen to the beginning. Please go all the way through. If you're not growing or not growing fast enough and you're doing all the things, except for maybe fitness marketing basics, and you still resist doing what works, stay tuned. All right. And I want to say this before I go on with full respect. So it is fully respecting where you are and the fact that all of us resist growth or going in a direction that isn't a way we've been doing things before. We get very comfortable in the way we think about ourselves, and you may decide or think that you can say, well, that I just don't like that. I don't want to do that. That's not me. But if you choose to be successful, there will be a certain degree of you needing to grow into the person of success. And if you're not successful right now, some gap exists between the you you're being today and the you that you may need to become. But it doesn't have to be icky and feeling like, no, that's not me. It's going to feel good when you step into the right shoes. So if every human on the planet needs to exercise, and if most, we can agree, struggle with exercise, why is it still so hard to attract clients? The simplest things, the smallest steps work for health and fitness. The smallest things also work for growing your health and fitness business. So they are pick up the phone, write an email. Go back to these fitness marketing basics. And even saying that, I realize you don't know good fitness marketing basics potentially unless you've followed an online guru, because it isn't taught thoroughly enough, not at universities, not in certification courses or in textbook, to help you when you're first beginning. But talk to people. That's a basic. One of the obstacles for trainers and health coaches who want to build an online business is what to say. Like, what do I say in an email? What do I say in a video? What do I say on a phone call? Well, call one person. If you were to call one person, you'll know what to say because you're thinking about that person's needs. You're simply talking to them. Try writing an email to just one person who you know. You know what to say then. It's easy. So keep in mind, email is not as good as a phone call. It is a good partner to a phone call. So if you have a cell number, though, text is better. Let me lay this out a little more clearly for you. So when I'm suggesting call one person or email one person, what I want you to picture is if you were calling your sister, you were emailing your brother or your aunt, you know them and you would know what to say. When you're emailing your clients as a collective group, you have to be that intimate, that personal, make it that specific to them. For those people who read it and think this isn't me at all that she's talking to, they will leave. And that is okay. You don't serve everybody. You couldn't. You'd be miserable if everybody out there said, yes, I need help with exercise. And then you got down to the uncovering what it is they really need help with and you couldn't do it. That would be a miserable next 8 or 10 or 12 weeks, whatever the length of that relationship was. So what I want you to do when you do your group type things, the lives, the emailing, think of one person. Don't think of you guys all, da-da-da-da. There's only one person watching at a time, making a decision one at a time, whether they dip into their purse to pay you or not. So it's just one person you need to talk to, even though it goes out to many. And if you're going to be most powerful, phone call. And if you're needing to grow that business right now, today, this week, picking up a phone and calling one person at a time is exactly what you need to do. And if you're resisting that because you think, well, that's not what the greats do, that's not what the big people who are online do, it's what they did. It's what they did to prove they have something that works. They perfected it on one person first, maybe themselves, and then they tried it with other clients one by one, maybe a very small group, tested and tested and tested and tweaked, got better, and now we've got enough proof that we can say, yes, this works. Here's the transformations people get. You have to be willing to do those things. Like the old stories of, when you go to work and you start a business, you think it's all going to be glamorous and you're the CEO and you're doing this. Are you kidding me? You're scrubbing the toilet with toothbrushes because an owner will do it when no one else will. I will still do the small things. I will still fix social media posts that somebody else created and take care of it myself and not tell them. Just because it needs to be done, I see it, I can do it, I'm going to do it. Now, eventually I can't do too much of that and I have to say, listen, we can't make these mistakes. But owners, entrepreneurs who are successful are willing to do the things that nobody else is. So if you're not being right now successful in your own definition, no one else is, you have to be willing to do the things. If you're thinking, I don't want to have private clients, you got to have revenue to have power to build the business that you want. So reframe it for yourself and see if you can make this a fit and realize you've got to have a track record. Get yourself in demand. Get yourself some confidence back by working with those people one-on-one. All right. And the most successful people in the world make phone calls every day. We make the easy ones, the ones about asking for business when people just want us to call them back because they're ready to start. But also we make the hard ones. When somebody's credit card doesn't go through after 3 attempts and messages to them don't result in any response, somebody calls. If your customer service drops the ball, things go wrong for a customer, somebody calls. When a customer complaint isn't valid or attacks the company or any staff member, somebody calls. And usually that's the person still in business when 9 out of 10 of them have failed. So if you really need to make something happen, your goal is not to sit and stare at a computer screen, is to pick up the telephone and make a phone call. So even if you want to build a business online, even if ideally you don't want to work with one-on-one clients in the business that you're building while you're building it, the fastest way to grow your business revenue is to pick up the telephone. You invite one person at a time to start working with you. And when you call at least one person every day, you build confidence, you build rapport, you build habits, and you relax. When you're stuck in those feelings of fear and your expenses outweigh your revenue, it's extremely hard to create a business with abundance and flow. So if you don't go woo-woo, really. If you don't believe this stuff, just hang out with me for a minute here. Because if you begin building your business based on fear and not enough, and always working constantly yourself without a reasonable plan for, when I'm at, say, X amount of dollars, I'll hire for the things I don't need to do anymore. You will, if you don't start with that kind of thinking, in 5 years from now, you will still have this kind of built on fear and a lack of abundance. You will still be fearful and working constantly yourself. You have to begin with that goal and vision in mind and know when you're going to hire someone. So you want something not based on fear, but on growth, based on not you working constantly, but with you constantly recharging your batteries. So I want to ask you this as a side note, but this is a good exercise for you. No sweat involved. What's your burn rate? Do you know what that is? That, sit down. Your burn rate includes your personal expenses, and it is the amount of money that you have to make monthly to cover your business and your other expenses. If this were your sole income, including paying yourself a reasonable rate commensurate with what you'd pay anyone else to do the job, what is that number? So you need to know that number. I did this 6 months ago. I knew my burn rate. Now it's quite different. My burn rate has gone up significantly, and we're in a growth stage that, in order to grow, had to go back a step. So I had to bring on 2 new people. And in doing that, my expenses went up. Well, my growth is still going up, but not dramatically yet, because these people are not quite trained in stepping in to fill the shoes I need them to. It will happen, but you will have to expect you'll have 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And you will also have times like this when there's okay, I'm going to take 2 steps forward, but maybe I'm going to also have 2 steps back at the same time because there's growing pains. I want you to calm the F down, okay? When you have revenue coming in, then you can relax and you can play the long game. Online marketing, online coaching, online courses is a long game. I know there are a handful of people who said, nope, I built this course and made 6 figures, off the first launch, boom. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. Overnight successes generally took years, decades. And, I'm no exception to that. So I've done very well. And yet I had a very lean few years, but I was committed and I did all the things every day that I needed to do to grow the business. Now I'm, yes, absolutely reaping the rewards because all of those fruits of doing the exact right things have paid off. But you got to know, first of all, what are the right things, and then be willing to do them. We're going to get to what your resistance might be to them in a minute, right? So that social media game, that's a long game unless you're doing paid advertising and you have a big budget to do it. I've got 130,000 followers and a YouTube channel, more than that, but many of those people are on my email list and got there organically. But that was built over a period of 6 years and not overnight. I still nurture it every week, even though it's not growing very rapidly now. Things have changed dramatically since the pandemic, but that's okay because my model is not to grow revenue from advertising on YouTube. It's to grow revenue by helping people with small bits of information that then lead them to do a full program where I can really change lives. You can't build your business this year doing things that are long game oriented. Growing an email list by 10,000 a weekend is possible, but only if you already have, say, 100,000 and you're invited to stages and speaking in front of hundreds of thousands of people regularly. Starting out, my email list was growing regularly at about 1,000 a month. So it took me years to reach 10,000. But then before that, I started at 0 too, right? So everybody does. So you're working on that first 10 and then the first 100 and then the first 1,000 and seeing what works and repeating it consistently. The email list is what you want to count. The other things are outside of that, what's working to drive people to the email list. If you're starting with social media, we're getting it backwards. My fitness marketing basics action advice for you would be this. Start with phone calls, one a day. I go into detail in another podcast about what to say and how to decide who you're calling, but I tell you what to say in what order as well. So you want to refer back to that and then work on your email game. The juiciest words you may ever use in an email when you reach out to someone is, "Are you still interested?" And inside of that email, you'll ask them to respond to a very special, I'm doing a new thing. I'm doing a new package. I'm offering a new group session. I'm hosting a retreat. Let me know if you'd be interested in learning more about that. That is very vague, but that is about all you're going to say. You're not even going to mention dates. You're not even going to mention locations. You're just going to find out if they're still interested. What have you done? You've increased engagement. My advice, if you're resistant to marketing, is to take time and do a few of these exercises. Imagine your business in 3 years. What's your typical day like? What are you doing? And how does it feel to be doing that? What kind of success is your business experiencing? What is your role in the daily activities of the business? Go deeply into the emotions that you feel about the success that you're having and write it all down. Okay, next, I want you to think about these questions, your responses to them. How much money do you have in the bank or in investments? What is your net worth? Where do you live? What's your environment like when you're inside, when you're in your office? What does it look like and feel like, and what's out the window? What have you created for yourself around your daily habits that is possible because of your business? Do you travel or do you donate to charities? Are you recognized when you go out in public or travel? You really can't hide behind the computer if you're building a business. You have gifts to share, and you have people who do care and who want what you have to offer. In order to do that, you've got to connect with them in the fastest way possible. The next thing you need is to establish really good follow-up goals. This is the other thing that successful entrepreneurs do. No answer is not an answer. When someone is non-responsive on my list, I don't slow down on outreach to them. I double down, right? So instead of, we're going to just email them less frequently, no. we email them like 3 times a week. So it's like tapping somebody on the shoulder. If you really want to get their attention, you start tapping more frequently and a little bit harder, right? If they're not paying attention to you. You remember doing that to your mother? Yeah, I did too. So I want a yes or no, and I take no answer as not an option. If an email doesn't reap a response, a second one goes out, and the third in really close proximity. And if that doesn't do it, I reach out via a text or a voice text if that's possible. We resist marketing ourselves because it is so much easier to promote a business or someone else and hide behind that. You may find yourself suddenly promoting you since the pandemic. You're in a just new situation. But the truth is, this works so much better. People want to do business with people, not with a business, right? We're very comfortable thinking about ourselves in the way we've always thought of ourselves. So change, including being somebody who markets and sells and promotes, may never have been a way that you thought of yourself. So you're resisting it naturally. You may resist having money because you maybe heard things like money doesn't grow on trees, or we can afford that, or you felt that the good life was for other people and you've always saved for a rainy day, but you never spent for today. You want to establish the source of your reluctance to reaching out to people. Do you have a negative connotation with salespeople because of a used car salesman experience or the vacuum cleaner salesman or maybe a realtor? Did a parent or a spouse tell you not to share your feelings out loud in front of a salesperson if you loved something? I got that one. This is the real homework in this episode. Getting the fitness marketing basics to work is easy once you'll apply them. If your resistance is due to these feelings or some false belief that anybody who's successful didn't do these things, you really want to take a good look at that. Break down your barriers and you will soar. We're going to put some other episodes that you might like below this episode show notes and put some resources that will also help you. But my friend, the world needs you and I right now more than ever. And a lot of people are doing a lot of really fancy stuff and making it look like that fancy stuff is what got them where they are. I would be willing to bet my hat and yours that it was the basics that really worked for them. So you can find the show notes for today at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/fitness marketing basics. And let's do this.